Konnichiwa. I'm Chaplain Major Mark Johnston. I'm the 38th Air Defense Artillery Brigade Chaplain, and I'm talking to you again today on the subject of resiliency. And we are standing here in front of the Zama Shrine. Now, we're here for several reasons. The Zama Shrine was established over 1,470 years ago. That's a long time, even before I was around. And it was here because there was an epidemic in this area of Japan. And the people were dying and were worried and concerned about things, as many are today. And there was a man who came in a white robe and told them, if you will drink from the spring that is just to the west of here at the bottom of the hill, it's still there, you can still see it, then the epidemic will be over. And they did so, and it was over, it ended. And in gratitude, the people of Japan established the Zama Shrine here. It has been here for 1,470 years. That's a long time. Even the bell that is behind me was cast in 1720, which is much older than even the United States. And for all those years, Japanese people have come on pilgrimages, especially from around here, especially on New Year's Day. I came myself on New Year's Day to pay respect to the shrine and to their ancestors, to those who looked after them in the past. It is a ritual that is part of Japanese culture. And after the Japanese suffered the devastation of World War II, many cultures would have given up, but not the Japanese. It was their rituals and their tenacity that carried them through to go from being a completely devastated people to coming to the place where they're the third greatest economic power in the world. But even greater than that, it gave them stability. It gave them, their culture, the means to be able to continue on. And you see here these beautiful, hard-working, gentle people. I've always thought that ritual was very important in life, and I learned it as a kid. When I was a little boy, I was 6 or 7 years old, and we carpooled to go to school every day. And one morning we were carpooling, and my mother, we looked up, and my best friend David, who lived across the street from me, was not in the car. And so my mother said, go back and get David and make sure he's with us, make sure he's okay. And so I went over to David's house and walked in the door. I probably didn't even knock because I went into their house as much as I went into my own house, and went in and said to David's mom, is David coming to school today? And of course this alarmed her because she said, I thought he was with you. So we went out looking for David, and I looked over to the south, and there I saw him sitting there on the side of the road next to Old Perry Store Road, a dangerous highway, could be, and he was sitting there, and we walked over to where he was, and we could see that his dog, Spark, a dog he'd had for several years, had evidently been killed by an automobile, and David had picked her up and brought her off the road, and he was sitting there crying and holding on to Spark. And after his mother saw that he was okay, I just went and sat down next to him. I didn't know what to do, and I cried with him. We sat there as we were crying, and David's mom talked to David's dad, and he came down there, and he was a smart man. He came down there and he was carrying two things. He was carrying what looked like a giant bed sheet or drop cloth and a book, an old book. It had foreign writing on the title. That's any writing that's not English to me. I didn't know what the book was. It doesn't matter. He was kind of making this up as he went. He put the sheet down on the ground. He sat down behind us with his legs crossed and his arms crossed in silence with his eyes closed, and waited till we finally noticed him. And then he said, boys, I've been saving this. This is a sail off of the ship that first brought dogs to the New World. Now, we didn't know any better, but that's what he said. I think it was actually an old drop cloth. He said, and I've been saving it so whenever there was a good dog that we had that died, she could be buried in it. And Spark was certainly a good dog. And so he took the book out, and it may have been blank for all I know, and he read, now when you bury a dog, you should make sure that as you wrap her in the sheet, that first you fold the north part of the sheet over, so we had to figure out what was north and south, then the southern part, then the east and the west, then you fold it 3 times. He had all these elaborate things. And then we walked up to their garden plot, and he sent me to get a shovel and a tape measure, and he sent David to get a compass, and so he was very specific, some wood from a pine tree and some wood from an oak tree. And so we did that as it said in the book. And he said there was an ancient Indian tribe who had lived there in Alabama all those years ago that handed that book down to him. No, it didn't, but that's what he said. And so we dug her grave according to the instructions he gave us. and according to the directions he gave us, we put her body there in the ground, and then we built a fire on top of the grave, and then we did a dance around it, and we danced one time around clockwise, 2 times around counterclockwise, then jumped across the fire east to west, north to south, hooped and hollered, and then we had a little prayer and it was over. Now, he made all that up, but he loved us, he cared for us, and he wanted us to have a ritual to go through to help us to deal with the tragedy that we had experienced. Rituals will help you deal with tragedy. I've been reading lately the Navajo Indian tribe out in Arizona, New Mexico, and that part of the United States had 2 rituals that are a big part of their life. One is called the enemy way, and the other one is called when the 2 came to their father. There were 2 boys born of the sun and the earth, and those boys were twins, and one's name was Killer of Enemies, or Slayer of Monsters. The other one's name was Born of Water. They were twin boys, and one, of course, was a warrior, a soldier. The other was what we non-natives would call a medicine man. I kind of see myself in that role often. It is my job to help soldiers to first prepare for war, and then after they have fought, to prepare them to move back into their culture. As we prepare, as we move through this tragic time, what are the rituals that you have? What are the rituals that you are practicing? What are the rituals that you're going through? Are you going to come out of this better? Or are you going to come out of it worse? You can come out of it better with skills and talents and habits and routines and rituals that you didn't have before. Or you can come out of it not doing very well. I said that you could probably come out of it, and I got to read what I said. It was so profound when I wrote it down. You can be an obese, chain-smoking, alcoholic dopehead when you come out, but I don't recommend that. Or you can come out with a renewed faith. How do you do that? It comes in 3 levels. First of all are habits. A habit is something that you do every day for 21 days, and it will become a habit. Some things you have to replace. The smoking is a terrible habit, but it can be replaced with other habits. What I've done to change my habits and my routines and my rituals is I don't have a television anymore. Now I don't miss it. Instead of watching television, I read. Instead of watching television, I play the guitar. Am I good? No. Do I enjoy it? Yes, I love it. And it gives me a skill and a talent that I didn't have before. But more than that, I walk. And every evening and every day at lunch, I walk. I walk about 10 or 11 miles a day, sometimes 12. Not only do I walk at the same time every day. And I walk basically in the same place every day. So it goes from a habit to a routine. But then I added something else to it. As I walk, I pray. I pray for my friends. I pray for my family. I pray for the people that I love and care about. I pray for myself. And I talk to myself about the change that needs to happen in my own life and in how I can be a part of that change. When you come out of this pandemic, you can come out of it, as I said before, as an obese, alcoholic, chain-smoking dopehead, if that's what you want, or you can come out of it having new rituals, new habits, new routines that can guide you on your way. Yoi ichinichi yo. Have a nice day.